I've been selling kitchenware for I was living in New York City at the time, the East Village of Manhattan. What started as like a 4-person meetup is now over.
I'm delighted to be joined by Brandon Fuhrmann, runs an event called Innovate, which is an Amazon face-to-face event based in New York.
New York is a very, very expensive place to have an event, but
how difficult was it to turn it from a meetup into an actual conference where people were kind of paying to attend?
So the first year was extremely hard.
How do you then start to select people to speak? Do you have a process that you would go through?
Mostly we go with people that so it's pretty organic. Like we try to focus on
Welcome back to the next episode of the Seller's Journey podcast. This week, I'm delighted to be joined by Brandon Fuhrmann, runs an event called Innovate, which is an Amazon face-to-face event based in New York. And today we're going to kind of discuss all the different topics around that and really get into kind of how face-to-face interactions kind of coming back to life a little bit. Brandon, welcome along. It's good to have you.
Yeah, great to be here.
Awesome. So yeah, do you just want to start by giving us a little bit of an overview of yourself and your experiences and how you came to kind of creating this incredible event?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I'm primarily a seller. I've been selling kitchenware for almost 10 years now, which is like 1,000 years in e-commerce years, but it's been a long run. So I started doing that, and along the way, I was living in New York City at the time, the East Village of Manhattan, and I looked on meetup.com, that's how long ago it was, and I saw there was an e-commerce meetup for Amazon sellers, so I joined it, and Jared, who's my partner on Innovate, was running it, and there was like 4 of us that showed up, like just trying to learn about FBA, and it was interesting. And then the next time, because I lived in the city, I went and there was like 8 people, and then I started running it with him, and 10, 20, 40, 60, 80, and it just grew until at which point we just like, neither of us had experience doing conferences, but we're just like, let's just do a conference. And we did it, and it was far more work than I could ever imagine, but it was really rewarding and pretty successful. So we've done it again and again and again. This is now our 7th year, and what started as like a 4-person meetup is now over 700 people going strong year after year.
Incredible. Kind of funny that I'm going to discuss how important face-to-face interaction is when we're doing this podcast online. Obviously,
we're face-to-face still, yeah.
yeah, exactly. But like it's something that's kind of drifted away, and obviously, COVID forced us into a situation where everything had to be kind of remote. But it certainly feels like now people are recognizing the value of kind of face-to-face interaction. So when you started this, obviously Teams calls and Google Meets were probably a thing, but they probably weren't as prominent as they are now. Did you ever even kind of consider doing like a virtual conference, or has it always been really important for you to do kind of face-to-face and face-to-face conferences?
Yeah, so we did the meetup still even alongside the conference for years after, and you had one in March of like 2020 just before COVID hit, and we had like 130 people at it, which was crazy. And COVID hit, and we were like, we should do something, so we tried a meetup, and it was okay, but it wasn't quite the same thing. It didn't have quite the same feel. It just didn't really work anywhere near the same way. So it wasn't really something that we really pursued after that, but we did try it during COVID with moderate success, I would say.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because I guess pros and cons are that you're likely to get a lot more people because it's going to be a lower cost. And it's easy to join an online conference because people don't have to leave their homes.
It's easy to sign up for an online conference, but then to go is a whole different story.
True. Yeah, that is true. Again, that's probably one of the cons though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's low to no cost, people go, oh, that'd be really good. And they sign up to it. And then 3 weeks later, when the conference is there, then other things have come up. They've got different priorities and they just don't show. Whereas face-to-face events, obviously, it costs more to put on a face-to-face event. There's much more of a commitment because people need to travel to and from the venue. So I'm guessing you don't quite get as many people drop away as you would an online conference.
Yeah. Definitely. Especially for a paid ticket, then there's a commitment there and people are loath to not actually, follow through on that.
Yeah, so we'll obviously talk a little bit more about the actual event in a second. I know that it's an event for Amazon sellers, so I'm really interested to kind of understand a little bit more about that event. With the kind of the people in it, it's based in New York. I guess that's not a difficult place to get to for most people around the world, but was there a specific reason that you decided that's where we're going to have this event? This is where we're going to kind of home the event?
Yeah, so it originally originally started as the meetup in New York City, and that's kind of where we built the event, right? And New York is a very, very expensive place to have an event, but that's just kind of where our base was and where we started building. As we started looking at attendance figures, we realized there's, first of all, probably more sellers within like a driving radius of New York than like anywhere in the world outside of China, and a direct flight from everywhere. We get a good percentage of people who come in from Europe because we're a direct flight. It's actually worked really well for us, the location. And we've asked in a survey throughout the years, we're just like, hey, what would happen if we move this to Vegas or Miami or somewhere else? And there was like overwhelmingly like, no, don't do it. We stuck with New York, and I'm from New York and my partner's from New Jersey. And so it makes it easy for us to plan as well, because it's easy for us to kind of get in the city and see things and plan what the event's going to be and try to make it really special versus like having to fly in to like do any of these things.
Yeah, that makes sense. That was kind of really my question. Was it a considered option to kind of have it based there because of the ease of it? But it sounds like you just kind of went for it and realized afterwards that probably is the best place to kind of have the event. It started as a small event, and obviously now it's become a conference. Where did you make that switch, and how difficult was it to turn it from a meetup into an actual conference where people were kind of paying to attend?
So the first year was extremely hard. We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into, like literally none. It wasn't like now where there's like a bunch of different events that are kind of happening regularly. You know, there wasn't much in the e-commerce space. We didn't know anybody who ran events, and we just like jumped in, and we were the ones hanging up all the signs. We were the ones doing pretty much everything at the conference. Like every little detail was like onto us. So it was like very, very difficult at first. And then the next year it was still difficult, but we got better at it. Like we were able to understand and anticipate certain things that went wrong. And as we've gone through the years, it's gotten much easier. And now we have an event planner who handles a lot of the on-site stuff that like we don't have to do anymore. So like it's really organically in that way, or each year it's like, okay, I can't be doing this anymore. We got to get someone to do this, or right, things like that. And then after like 3 or 4 years, we were just like, we need to make this in 2-day show. And that was really when it also started to take off, because then it became just not like a 1-day thing. It was like, okay, this is like a conference. This is a 2-day event. This is like an event. People can fly in. There can be after parties and pre-parties and things like that, which are always really fun. So I think that's really when things took a turn, is when we went to that 2-day lineup.
And how long ago was that?
3 years.
Okay, so this will be your third year as
No,
a
this is
two-day event?
as a 2-day event, I believe so, yes.
Nice, okay, cool. Like you say, that puts a whole new spin on it with a bit more kind of outside of the conference kind of networking and all that kind of thing. Where did that idea come from? Was it just that it grew so much that you had to put on another day? Or was it a conscious kind of decision to say, let's increase the networking element and push it out?
It was a little bit of everything. So first of all, we always ended up with too many speakers. By the time it was all said and done, we'd always over-plan speakers. So it was like, we need to have another day to kind of like pencil people in and like make it so there was room for the event to breathe a little better. And that was kind of partially on our part, like just being like, no, we don't have enough value yet. We got to add more, right? Or people coming in and jumping in and being like, hey, I can speak. And it was like, oh, that guy would be pretty good. That kind of thing would happen all the time. So like that was a big piece of it, is being like, okay, if we make this 2 days, we can certainly do that. And then the other was just to provide more value for literally everyone there, right? We noticed how many people were flying in, and it's kind of like weird to fly in for like 1 day when you can fly in for 2 and make an event of it, and like seeing how many people were flying in to the event or coming into the event, and like, let's say spending the entire weekend in New York City or spending time after in New York City, right? So you were able to see, like, I was just seeing those patterns and being like, we should really do more. People are making like a trip out of this 1-day event. So it's like, I think there's a lot of room to make this a 2-day event.
Yeah, incredible. And I guess then, so you've got the event set up and you've got all the planning that kind of goes into it. How do you then start to select people to speak, for example? Like, do you have a process that you would go through, or is it just you kind of like put it out there and let people contact you?
Yeah, so it's a couple of different ways. Mostly we go with people that we know. It's interesting, like people that are speaking 1 year are in the audience the next year and are back to speaking another year. And so it's pretty organic. Like we try to focus on operators and not service providers. Like, really people who are actually running businesses, who are really doing it. And at all levels too. We've had people like as big as like Sean Frank from Ridge, who I think is like a 9-figure company. And then we've had people who were like in like the single digit millions, like 3, 4, 5. And because they offer very different perspectives, right? Sometimes people will be like at that lower level, they'll be more in the weeds and have some really good ideas. And then other people who are maybe more aspirational or focusing more on big picture. So we kind of try to get a mix of that. But really, most of the people that end up speaking are operators or people that we know that we think would be great speakers. And I think that's what separates us from other conferences, is that we really focus on the quality of the speakers and really try to make sure that it's really the best that we can get.
Okay. The kind of demographic, the people that are attending these events as attendees, as a general rule, are Amazon sellers, are they?
Yeah. So we started as AMZ Innovate, and now we're just Innovate. I think it like reflects the broader trend in the community, where it's like we were always Amazon focused, we still are, but like people are looking at TikTok. We have a great speaker on TikTok this year. People are looking more at Shopify. We have someone from Shopify coming to the show. We're definitely like going from an Amazon perspective, looking at a lot of these other channels as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. And like you say, it does seem to be kind of going going that way, doesn't it? People are kind of
Yeah.
trying to diversify a little bit from Amazon. So I guess that's a really good move as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about the event and like why people should attend?
Our event has so many, just in attendees, so many huge sellers. We get, I think like 90% of our sellers are like $1 million plus. I think 33% are like 10 million plus, and 10% are 100 million plus. Like we really get the best of the best speakers, attendees that even come to our event. So in terms of networking, it's really like the best place that I found to network. Obviously I run the event, so it's good to network for me, but like it's really just so many people I see there that are just like, this is incredible. So last year we invited, for example, like Evan Dash, who's like the founder of Dash, the home electronics department. They make the waffle makers and all this stuff. They're a $1 billion brand, and he just came, and I was talking to him, and he was like, your conference had like an unusually amount of like really good information for people, and like that's what we go for, is like people to come away with like a lot of nuggets for no matter how big your organization is or small, that you can take back and bring to you. Between the attendees and the speakers, we really get just like the best people that we can get on all fronts. And I think that positioned where it is in Q4 too, just before, is a really good time frame to kind of implement some of this stuff just before Q4 hits, and you can kind of like take off as it's happening.
Yeah, got it. So it's really highly educational event. And do you have like literally like speakers all day
Yes.
throughout the day? And I'm guessing you've got like an exhibitor area as well where
Yes.
people can go to get information about different services, etc.
So we have different sessions. We've got breakout sessions, and those are like running side by side, like 3 different panels side by side. And then we have main stage sessions, which are just like big sessions with everyone included. So they kind of run as they go. And then we have like the sponsor area, and we have like the best food. The venue is located at Pier 60, which is just known for incredible food. This is our 3rd year doing it, so we wouldn't have been back if we didn't like love it there. But it's also on the Hudson River in New York, so we're able to open up those windows sometimes when the weather's okay. And last year it was, and just get this beautiful breeze and have this beautiful view of New York. So yeah, it's really great. It's a great venue, and everything about it. Very excited for it.
Yeah, cool. What's your main role on the day? Like, what is it you do? I'm guessing it's a kind of a wild day, really, when you've spent so long preparing for it. But what is it that generally you'd be doing on the day?
There's a bunch of things. So a couple of things that we've done is, so first of all, I'm mostly on the sponsorship side. So I've dealt a lot with like signing up the different sponsors to be part of the event. So usually for me, I'm going to check in on them, making sure everything is okay, walking around, saying hi, seeing a lot of these people who I've had conversations with like this for the first time in person. So doing that kind of thing. And then we've taken a cue from, I don't know if you've seen the All In Summit, but something that they did was that we thought was really clever is they had chairs on stage, and after everyone spoke, they would get on stage and kind of just ask a few questions themselves, right? Being like, hey, look, we're experts in the field. We have some questions before the audience gets into it. And it's been really great. We did it last year, and it was just a really great way to kind of open up the conversation and kind of like not just have the speakers give their prepared remarks, but really have a conversation about what they had talked about, and maybe like bring some of our perspective in and do that, and then kind of go into the questions. So it's kind of created a really rich environment, like do that. And it doesn't mean I'm part of everyone. Sometimes one of us is off putting out a fire or checking on this or doing that. So we'll try to be there as much as we can. Usually there's a couple of us too, at least. That's another thing that we do. And everything else is really just problem solve, right? We have an event manager the day of the show, and she's the one that's doing the majority, but there's always like a million things that crop up, or problems or issues, or someone who needs to speak to me, or things like that. So it's a lot of running around like crazy, but it's good though. We work on this for a whole year, right? Last year we started planning like a week after the show basically, but we work on this for a whole year. So it's really fulfilling to see like the fruit of our labor kind of just like happen in real time, and having all these people show up from around the world.
Yeah, I bet that's amazing. What do you think is like your biggest mistake you've made in all the years that you've been running this event?
The biggest mistake? That's a good question. I think we didn't even run ads on the event until like 2 years ago. It was pretty much all word of mouth. We would do some things like podcasts, or we would do some talk to our friends, word of mouth. We do very little else though. We never ran ads. We never ran Facebook ads. So like, I don't know if you'd call that a mistake, but like probably could have grown a lot quicker had we done more of that from the beginning, for sure.
Yeah, and I guess you're not in a bad place where you are right now, right? You've got what sounds like an incredible event.
I mean, I would say we leave a lot on the table just because it's all of ours, like kind of hobby, almost like our second job. It's like our side project for all of us. So there's everyone's like, oh, you should do this. And it was like, yeah, we should, but I don't want to do that. We have those conversations all the time. We also leave a lot on the table that we probably could have done to grow this even more, for sure, too.
Do you ever see it as kind of taking over and becoming your main focus and your kind of full-time thing? Or are you guys just kind of happy having this just kind of running alongside something else?
I think definitely happy as a part-time thing. I mean, it's not, I always say it's not that much work until it is. Like November through June, it's very, very little. And then it starts picking up. And then now we're kind of in the throes of it. And then, by October, it's like full-time pretty much. And then the event's over. And then it's like, okay, back to basically zero again, right? So it doesn't really command that much work in that regard. It just does for like a brief period of the year.
Yeah. Got it. Okay, cool. I gutted myself that we only had our first conversation a week or two ago. It was just a little bit too late for me to arrange the logistics of getting to New York for the event, but it's definitely something that I'm going to be doing next year. So hopefully you guys continue it and it keeps growing and everything else. And I think, how can people get more information on the show, and like, what would you say to people that are kind of considering coming along?
Yeah, so the show can be found at innovate.show. Pretty easy. I would just say that it's a great audience for everyone. Even if you're just starting out, I always say the best way to learn is to learn by people who are actually doing it themselves and like actually like making it happen versus like online courses. And everyone who's at this show is like a doer. They're really into their business and they're really working hard on it. I think it's great for everyone to attend just in that regard. And our speakers are really top notch. I don't think we've even talked about who our speakers are, but we've got Isaac from Kampai Foods. We've got Ezra Firestone, who's like an OG in the internet marketing space and is just like amazing. Evan Dash, who I just mentioned. And then we've got Jay Hunter from Mary Ruth, Brian Cano of True Classics. We've got the founders of Art Naturals, who are like also OGs in like the Amazon space. They've been around forever. We just have so many just amazing people, and we're still bringing in speakers too. We are always adding speakers even to the last minute. So like I would even, if you look and you see, you'd keep checking back, because like last year we were adding people up to like pretty much like 2 weeks before the show. Just people we knew would be like, hey, we were talking about becoming Innovate. I freed up. I can come. And it was like, okay, yeah, we'll edge it, right? So like we're pretty flexible on that. So like we just always adding people if we think they're going to be great to the show.
That's really cool. And I guess it sounds like it's going to be an action-packed couple of days. What happens in the evenings? Do you like put things on specifically, or do people just kind of go their own way?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. So we have a VIP track that happens, right? So VIPs will have a morning mastermind on day one, and then there is a VIP dinner that's going to happen like a beautiful Hudson Yard space that overlooks everything. It's stunning. And then we're going to have a VIP like kind of like post after party that's going to happen as well. So we do that for the VIPs. But then there's also parties being thrown around there. Shein is throwing a party too as well. That's going to be really fun. MDS is throwing a party before the event, and there's a ton that are still kind of like in planning stages. So there's going to be just a ton of really great events like just going on throughout the show. So yeah, it's an exhausting time for me, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, and the shows that I've been to, you kind of get the main bulk of your work done during the day when you're doing the kind of formal meetings, but a lot of business happens after hours, right? When the atmosphere is a little bit more relaxed and people are able to talk a little bit more freely and relationships can get built. Certainly from my perspective, I've been to a few of international events, and the majority of the exciting stuff that you come back with was a direct action of something that happened in the evening rather than in your formal kind of setup.
Yeah, for sure. And there's people that we know that they come to the show, and as great as the speakers are, they're just like, yeah, I'm just kind of here to hang out and network and just like talk to everyone else who's here too, right? And which is interesting. They go, no, I took so much away from last year. I didn't see many of the speakers, but just the people I talked to made it worthwhile in and of itself. So yeah, it is really interesting. And we've structured the VIP event that way specifically because the goal was to have 3 different touch points. So like, the first one's like a morning mastermind where you're kind of like meeting new people and you're kind of sharing, but you don't really know anyone yet. And then by the end, you're like, you've made all these new friends and you're having some drinks at the bar, you're hanging out, and you can kind of let your hair down a little bit. At that point, you've kind of made a new friend. We've made it for people who don't know each other, that there's definitely opportunity to kind of like really get involved and really meet new people.
Yeah, and I think that really highlights the importance of these face-to-face events. It always worried me quite a lot when you start seeing all the virtual events coming up. And don't get me wrong, some of the virtual events that I've done have been incredible. But I think what you guys are doing is super important, like keeping that face-to-face interaction, because you just don't get the same, you don't tend to come away from a virtual event a really strong relationship.
But even like sitting next to friends and like watching someone talk and then afterwards being like, what did you think about that thing he said? And like, I'm actually doing something like that. So like that kind of thing where it's like it can build on conversations that you can talk with people who are also doing similar things. And I think you don't get that at home because you're just kind of like passively watching the content and not like engaging with it.
Yeah, so true. It's been amazing talking to you. I'm really conscious of time. I know you've got loads to kind of crack on with. I mean, obviously, wish you all the luck in the world for the show. It sounds incredible. I'm looking forward to being there next year. I'll get my tickets as soon as they go on sale. And yeah, thank you for coming along. How can people get hold of you if they want to ask questions about the event or potentially even want to come and speak at the event, etc.? What's the best way for people to get hold of you?
So my email is just, you can get my personal email. It's fine. It's callmebrandon@gmail.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn or really anywhere.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks so much for your time, Brandon. I really appreciate you squeezing us in at this super busy time. Obviously, we'll be in touch anyway, but wish you all the best for the event, and hopefully it goes as well as it has done in previous years.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.